In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace the valve cover gaskets on this Honda CR-V. Let's get started. Let's start at the front here. There are two 10mm headed bolts that we need to remove to pull this cover off. Remove the cover, set it aside. On top of the valve cover, you'll see this, which has four 10mm headed mounting nuts. We'll have to remove those to remove this cover. Looks like this one is stuck on the stud. That's okay. This one's missing for me. Take this out, set it aside. Now let's remove the ignition coils. We have to unplug them and then take out their 10mm headed bolts. This one is actually the stud that came out with that cover, so it's already removed. I'll have to separate it later. But push on the electrical connector, unplug it, remove the ignition coil, set it aside. Do the same to the rest of them. I'm going to unplug it, use a 10mm socket, remove the bolt, and remove the coils. Move this harness up and out of the way backwards like that. You can use a bungee cord and very gently tie it if you want so it doesn't come back. There we go. Let's get this power steering line off of this bracket. You could unbolt the bracket or you just pull the line out. On the other side of the valve cover, grab some pliers, pinch on this clamp, pull it away. We're going to have to remove this hose. Now, this has a sleeve over it here, so it'll be a little bit difficult. And also the hose might be stuck. But at this point, once we have it unclamped, we should be able to push it away. Just like that. Now, if we can't push it all the way off, that's okay, because the rest of it will come off once we lift up the valve cover. Now there are 6 10mm headed mounting nuts that hold this valve cover down. We're going to start on the outer ones, working our way in a cross pattern, removing them, so we can of course remove the valve cover. Doesn't matter where you start, just go back and forth. Underneath those mounting nuts, you'll have these caps with rubber grommets. I'm going to try to remove them. Sometimes they don't want to come out until the valve cover is off. If that's the case, that's all right, but I would rather take them off now if possible because they do like to go flying if you don't. Even if the grommet doesn't come off, I at least want to take the metal caps off. That one wants to stay, so I'll leave it. I'll just pay attention to it. Now, we just have to pry the valve cover. Sometimes it's useful to have a small pry bar or screwdriver that you can pry up with, typically in the corners. There it is. Just be very careful when you pry. You don't want to damage things. You don't want to pry on anything plastic or rubber. Okay, give this a couple pushes. I'm going to get the rest of my grommets off of here. These grommets also cause the valve cover to kind of stay stuck in place. There it is. There we go. The spark plug tube seals are also going to kind of cause you to have it a little bit stuck. Lift it up. Looks like this hose came off. That's all right. And there it is. Let's remove the spark plug tube seals out of the valve cover first. Have it flipped around so you can see them with a pry bar from underneath, screwdriver, whatever you have. Simply pry these out, just like so. Keep in mind the way they go is with the rounded lip facing towards you or towards inside the valve cover. With a rag, clean up the area where they mount. Should be fairly clean to begin with, but just in case. You want them to seal up nice. You don't want any oil leaks once you're done. To install these, put them flat with, of course, the correct side facing you. And you want to only hammer on the outside of the seal, not on the inner lip. I have a 30mm socket. I found that that works perfectly. If you have anything else that'll fit on here, go ahead and use that. Sometimes cups from a ball joint press can also fit very well. Regardless, gently tap it down until it's flush and seated. Make sure it's even all the way around. That's it. You don't need a whole lot of pressure on these. Move on to the next one. Sometimes you're actually even able to press them down by hand most of the way. Now the valve cover gasket that goes all the way around. This one's really stuck on here. There we go. This one is very, very stuck and clearly very old. I'm going to do the same with this groove here. Run a clean rag along the groove with a screwdriver. Then you want to take the new valve cover gasket, and it can only go on one way, so you have to just find that direction and then press it into the groove. All right, perfect. Now before the valve cover goes on completely, we want to put RTV on the areas that we scraped it on. There's going to be a split right here on the timing cover on the front as well as on the back. And then on the other end, there will be this hump that goes around the head, and we have to put RTV right over here and again on the back side where it meets. So let's put just a little dab. You don't need a lot. I have a clean glove here. You don't want any oil combining with this RTV. And you just basically dab it on here. Make sure it's spread up evenly, just like that. I'll put some on the back side as well, kind of in the same area. And then apply a little bit on the front, right where the split is between the head and the timing cover. Remember, you don't want a lot, you just want a nice thin layer, enough to bridge that crack between the split between the cover and the head. If you put too much, when you put the valve cover on, it'll actually squish out and get all over the place, especially you don't want it inside the engine. Now take the valve cover, very carefully line it back up with the engine. You want to make sure the gasket doesn't get damaged in the process. Well, there it goes. It just fell right into place, but we have to push it down. And just like that, the spark plug tube's seated, or the spark plug tube seals, I should say, seated, and everything is in position. All we have to do now is put the hardware back on to clamp it down. Put the new grommets on, of course with the metal part facing up and the rubber facing down. That's going to seal up the openings. And on top of that, the 10mm capped mounting nuts. So it's going to hold all of this down. Just start them on by hand. Then we'll go around and snug them up and torque them, of course, but you want to make sure they don't cross thread. Now start tightening them up from the center in a cross pattern, working your way towards the outer ones. This is not the final torque, this is just bottoming them out, making the valve cover basically squish down on the head just a little bit. Okay, they're all even, so let's go back around and torque them. 7.2 foot-pounds is the torque for all of these. Once again, go in a cross pattern starting from the center to make sure everything is seated, and then I'm going to go around one more time to make sure it's all tight. All right, that's all tight. There are several 8mm headed bolts or screws that hold the top of the airbox in, and I'm going to remove it so I can put this hose back on. My hose was slightly damaged. I don't want to damage it even more, so I want to give it a little bit extra space to slide on. Slide this on all the way and onto the airbox. Drop this back down. If yours had a clamp, don't forget to put that on. There are new seals provided with your valve cover gasket kit that go on the top of the ignition coils. So if you want to replace yours, which it's a good idea to do so if they're old, just simply peel these existing ones off and then take the new one, slide it right up, make sure it's facing the right way. Just push it on all the way. Do the same to the other three. Oh. There are new seals provided with your valve cover gasket kit that go on the top of the ignition coils. So if you want to replace yours, which it's a good idea to do so if they're old. Just simply peel these existing ones off and then take the new one, slide it right up, make sure it's facing the right way. Just push it on all the way. Do the same to the other three. One more thing is put a little bit of dielectric grease on the side of the boots on the ignition coils. This will help it seal up, but also it'll prevent it from getting stuck on the spark plug in the future with heat cycles and everything. Don't put too much because it'll interrupt the flow of current, just a little bit on the sides. Once you've done that, put the ignition coils right back in. Make sure they seat. Bring the harness back over, line it up with the two studs, plug in all of the ignition coils. Okay. And let's get all the hardware for this back on. On the ignition coils, the second and the fourth ignition coil, get the two studs. Start them on by hand, that way they don't cross thread. Snug them up. The other two just have regular bolts to hold them down. 8.7 foot-pounds is the torque for the ignition coils. Now reinstall this cover. And put on the mounting nuts that held this on. I had one that was missing, so I'm just going to put back the three that I had originally. Snug them up. If your dipstick came out with the valve cover like mine, I chose to leave it out until now. Don't forget to put it back in. Resecure the power steering hose onto this bracket. Don't forget about this front cover. And the two bolts that hold it on. Snug these up as well. There you have it.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.